Let's give our praises to the Most High, whose true name in Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in ancient Hebrew is the Ruach Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, by the Holy Spirit that taught us His truth. Honors to the brothers risking their life and freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, which would be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel, according to scripture and according to prophecy. But the hopeful elect would be 1/3 of the Israelites, who will return back to the Most High during the last days, which is right now, to receive salvation, while the 2/3 of Israel who don't turn back to the Most High be destroyed in judgment. We back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah. And his lesson is going to be titled Distress of Nations, Trade Wars, and Uproars. Again, Distress of Nations, Trade Wars, and Uproars. And we're just going to sort of give a update on this trade war that's been kicking off, because it's led to a lot of protests and a lot of people upset with America worldwide. But we gonna get some videos and some scriptures and pretty much talk about what's coming next. So we're gonna start with this first video, and you see the title of it: 1,300 plus protests erupt nationwide. Americans rise against Trump and Musk influence. Gotta get another precept real quick. Let me grab something real quick. So we're gonna jump to the book of Job, chapter 20, verse 27. Because what it say? Americans rise against Trump and Elon Musk. Job 20:27, the heavens shall reveal his iniquity, the earth shall rise up against him. Earth is going to rise up against who? The wicked. Who's the wicked? According to Malachi chapter 1, verse 4, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And what we about to see, not just America, but we're going to start with America. But the whole world is rising up against America because of these tariffs, which we're going to start with this video. Again, 1,300 plus protests erupt nationwide. So this past weekend, there was over 300 protests taking place in all 50 states against Trump and Elon Musk. As the scriptures say, the earth will rise up against him. So check this out.
Across the U.S., a wave of defiance roared through the streets. 1,300 hands-off protests lit up the nation, united against President Trump and Elon Musk's grip on government power. From D.C. to Portland, thousands rallied. Veterans, students, retirees, standing shoulder to shoulder for rights they say are under attack: education, healthcare, the arts, social security, even free speech. "We took an oath to defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic," said one veteran. "That time is now." And from Boston to small-town North Carolina, people shouted a simple message: hands off our rights, hands off our future. Is this the start of a movement or just the beginning of resistance? Like, subscribe and drop a comment. What do you think? Is America...
So this is the beginning of resistance, but we're going to get more into that. But again, 1,300 plus protests nationwide in all 50 states against America and against Trump and their policies. So we're going to get this out of here. Got a couple videos we're going to look at. So we're going to start here first. So this is Instagram and just a list of the protests that's taking place not only in America, but across the world. Because what did Job 20:27 say? The earth shall rise up against him. So not just America, but check this out. In front of the Department of Treasury, See that at the top? Worldwide protests. What the scriptures say? The earth shall rise up against him.
Are you coming
Serbia, Germany.
to the street? They strung up a man. They say,
Argentina, Georgia.
strange things that happen here.
Slovakia and South Korea.
Are you?
In our lifetime, we will be free. One day when the light shines, we will be.
Alright, but the focus here was it was here again. You saw the protests happening nationwide, but you see the protests also happening across the world. The whole world is in an uproar right now, rising up against America because of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And you see the different countries that's popping up, and that ain't all of them, because all of Europe is in a protest right now. Canada, they in the uproar and protesting right now. But we're gonna get this next video.
And continue with their plan of genocide.
Hey, so the earth is in a protest right now. The earth is rising up against the wicked. And the reason why it would be, well, getting ahead of myself. Let's come to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9. We're going to start at verse 1, but we're going to read this in the GNT. It says, he answered, consider all these things very carefully. When you see that some of the signs I have told you have appeared, you will know that the time has come when God Most High will bring judgment on the world he has created. So just look at the signs, then you're going to know that we're in that time of judgment. Here are some of the signs. There will be earthquakes and what? Myanmar, I believe, one of the major countries, they just had an earthquake. I think 7.7. Yeah, I think they just had a 7.7 earthquake. And the death toll right now is over 3,000. So there will be earthquakes, national rebellions. This is what we see over here to the right. This is a national rebellion taking place in America and Serbia and Germany and Argentina and Canada and Georgia, all of Europe, Slovakia, South Korea. Yeah, so again, there will be earthquakes. We seen that happen. National rebellions. We seen this happen. It says international intrigues. So what is the international intrigue? Well, let's look up this word intrigue real quick. When we look at the second definition, it says make secret plans to do something illicit or detrimental to someone. Another way that it can be worded, the secret planning of something illicit or detrimental. And in an example, it speaks about the government. So this international intrigue pretty much is going to be an international effort to crash the global economy and to bring about this cashless digital society, and to what? To bring the RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast that goes in the right hand, and also the brain chip that goes in and around the forehead. That's the international intrigue. All these nations, well, when you go above your presidents and government, you know, the wicked elites, the international bankers, um, they causing all this stuff to happen. It's an international effort to bring about this new world order. But I'm gonna pull this back up. But yeah, back to the precept. There will be earthquakes, national rebellions. We see that right now. International intrigues. So what your world leaders working together to bring the chaos, and then they're gonna bring the solution. So order out of chaos. It says unstable leaders. That's Trump. He's an unstable leader. He just signed his stuff and then he'll go back on it. Like he put all these tariffs on all these countries, like we about to see, but then he just put a pause on the tariffs because of the tariffs. The stock market started to crash. So he put a pause on the tariffs, and then you see the stock market started to increase. So leaders would they do one thing and then they want to backpedal. Even with the deportations, now they saying that the way that they went about it is a mistake. And not to mention, people still protesting about Doge, which Elon Musk is in charge of. They still protesting about the genocide that's taking place in Hamas. They still protesting about the ICE raids and deportations. So again, there will be earthquakes, national rebellions, international intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers. Yeah, when you look at your world leaders, they confused, they scrambling. Trump is just trying stuff now. The world leaders, they just trying stuff and see what works. Now, let's continue. You will know that they are what God Most High has spoken about since the beginning of creation, the beginning and the end of everything that happens in this world are clear. So yeah, again, you see earthquakes, diverse places, national rebellions, unstable leaders, confused rulers. That's why that's why the world is in a mess right now. Because the scriptures tell you that Esau's wisdom is going to vanish. So what Trump is doing, mainly speaking for America, none of this is well thought out. They just scrambling, doing stuff on the fly. They're the unstable leaders and the confused rulers. Now we gonna get into the reason for all of the protests, not only in America but outside of America. So I got a video we're gonna look at real quick. So we're gonna get this first video, and it's titled List of Trump's Reciprocal Tariffs. So pretty much a tariff is a tax on an imported good. We know America import a lot of stuff from China and Vietnam. So check this out.
Today, countries around the world are threatening to retaliate after President Donald Trump laid out his long-awaited tariffs.
It's our declaration of economic independence.
The plan, a 10% tax on nearly all goods brought into the U.S. starting April 5th.
Okay, so that's why they started protesting over this weekend, nationwide and also worldwide. And they said a 10% tariff on almost all goods coming into America. So that's the baseline tariff. And I believe that that baseline tariff was placed on over somewhere around 180 countries. So you put a 10% tariff on around 180 countries. But it don't stop there. There's also a reciprocal tariff. So that would be extra tariff on top of the 10% tariff that he done put on all of these countries already. So I'm going to back up a little bit. We're going to get it again.
Plan a 10% tax on nearly all goods brought into the U.S. starting April 5th.
10% tax on over 100, almost 180 countries.
April 9th, additional reciprocal tariffs on more than 60 countries President Trump dubbed the worst offenders.
And a reciprocal tax on over 60 countries. Pretty much those 60 countries just so happen to have a high tariff or a high tax on American goods. But we're going to get some more of this video.
It's 34% on China, 20% for the European Union, likely meaning America.
I got a better video, so we're going to check this one out.
In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. That means they do it.
And again, a reciprocal tax, meaning there's going to be an extra tax on top of that 10%.
To us, and we do it to them. So, if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less, so how can anybody be upset? European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, but 64%, we're going to charge them 32%. Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46%, and much higher for certain items like cars, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%. If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%. Brazil, 10%, 10%. Bangladesh is 74%. So you see what's going on. Pakistan, 58%. Sri Lanka, 88%. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order.
And pretty much the tariffs, the tax, the consumer has to pay for that. Like the seller, the business, they may take some of the cost, but it's going to be mainly the consumer, the buyer, that pay the tariff or the tax. Now we're going to get this video. Trade partners hit back on President Trump's tariffs. So as Trump is putting more and more tax on these other countries, well, the other countries are responding. Whatever tax America put on these countries, these other countries starting to do it right back to America. For example, China. So we're going to start there.
As the Trump administration's new sweeping reciprocal tariffs take a hold, China announced this morning that it is raising tariffs on U.S. goods to 84%. Natalie Brand has the latest.
84% tax on American goods in China. And Trump has already threatened to put like over 100% tax on Chinese goods. So we're going to show what that look like. So let's say you got something that's $15 and Trump put an 84% tax on American goods. So let's use that number, 84%. So pretty much you add 84 cents for every dollar. So we're going to multiply this by 84 cents. So that would be the 84% tax on $15. You will add $12.06 to it, but you got to add the 15 back to it. So something that once cost $15, hey, pretty soon it'll cost over $27. So an 84% tax or 84% tariff is almost double, because that something is taxed 100%, it's pretty much double the price. For example, if you get something that's $150, multiply that 150 by 84 cents, that's a tax increase of $126, but you gotta add the 150 back to it, because that's the base price. So from 150 to 276. Now just imagine how much stuff comes from China. Microwaves, refrigerators, cars, electronics, TVs, gaming systems. That stuff gonna almost double in price. And we just talking about household items. We ain't even got on the food, the medicines, etc.
U.S. trading partners are hitting back after President Trump's reciprocal tariffs kicked in overnight. Beijing responded to the administration's additional 50% tariff on Chinese imports, raising its retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods to 84%.
No one wins in a war, but it's proportionality, and the proportionality for the Chinese is going to be much worse.
The European Union has announced retaliatory tariffs on more than $20 billion of U.S. goods.
Hey, the European Union, now they put in retaliatory tariffs, which I'm going to get this screenshot real quick. European Union just approved first set of retaliatory tariffs on U.S. imports, and they're going to tax over $20 billion of U.S. goods. China fires back with 84% retaliatory tax on U.S. goods. Trump warns that major tariffs are coming soon on foreign pharmaceuticals. So that would be your medicines.
Countries are also signaling they want to negotiate. The administration says it's heard from about 70.
I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my. They are dying to make it to you. Please.
Trump line.
Talk to my farmers. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of uncertainty, because when we get into a trade war, usually the first pawn in the trade war is agriculture.
U.S. Trade Representative Jamison Greer returned to Capitol Hill for a second day of questioning about the administration's strategy.
I think that tariffs are an imposition on foreign goods that can protect American workers and American products.
President Trump also said Tuesday night he will impose new tariffs on imported pharmaceuticals, but did not say when.
Yeah, man. So agriculture gonna take a hit. A lot of the machinery and the equipment that goes into agriculture, that goes into building, metal, lumber that's coming from Canada, everything about to skyrocket. And then now they want to tax pharmaceuticals, because the brother Hope always mentioned a lot of medicines come from China. Didn't know that. And we know that America is the most medicated country in the world. So a lot of people about to go without. So we gonna get this next precept. We gonna come to the book of Luke. And the thing is, it seemed like this would be all over the news. You know, it seemed like this would be the talk of the town right now all over America. The protests, the tariffs, and what could come after. But see, people not gonna get it until the price tag double on whatever you're trying to buy, and you ain't got the money to get whatever you're trying to buy. But we're going to get this real quick. We're going to come to the book of Luke. Actually, change the plan. We're going to come, where is it? Dang. Bear with me 1 second. Actually, I'm tripping. We're going to come to the book of Luke. Because Luke 21, verse 25. This is what the people are going through right now. Because not to mention with the tariffs and inflation, things are already expensive as it is. With the tariffs, things are going to get more expensive, potentially going up in price by 50% to even doubling in price. Not to mention all of the layoffs, all of the terminations, Elon firing everybody, everybody losing their jobs, people going through it. So this is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25. There should be signs in the moon. And what? We just had lunar eclipse last month. And then there was a devil's horn solar eclipse a few weeks ago. So signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth, distress of nations. This is what's happening. Distress of nations. With perplexity, the sea and the waves warring. The sea and the waves is a metaphor for the people, so this represents uproars of the people. Or in other words, national rebellions, protests, riots, etc. But you got wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes in diverse places, uproars of the people, signs of the sun, moon, and stars. But at the same time, you got distress of nations. Now we're gonna look up this word, distress. So pretty much,
Strong's G 4928, Sunache. Sunache.
so the main word in distress.
Strong's G 4928, Sunache. Sunache.
The main word in distress is stress. So the nations are stressed the hell out. People are stressed out. And we're going to look up this word distress. Let's see why the nations are stressed out. I saw something funny in the definition. So first definition, extreme anxiety, sorrow, or pain. Anxiety, stress, uncertainty. People don't know how they're going to make ends meet. People lost job and got to sell their house, got to sell their car, got to downgrade, downsize. A lot of women losing their secure positions and they independent with their children, no food, groceries high. So that's that extreme anxiety or stress, because again, it said distress of nations. But when you read down, it says suffering caused by lack of money or the basic necessities of life. Yeah, because of Elon Musk and his Doge, everybody being terminated and laid off and fired, there's a lack of money amongst the American people. So that's the main reason for the suffering. That's why there's nationwide protests. That's why there was over 1,300 protests over the past weekend in all 50 states. That's why all the other countries are protesting against Donald Trump and Elon Musk, because these tariffs and tax increases in the prices of stuff, that's not going to just happen to America. That's going to happen worldwide. Because again, this is a tariff war. These world leaders, they just putting tariffs back on each other, back and forth. And who got to pay for it? The consumer, the buyer, which will be the people. That's why they protesting. So stuff not going to only get hectic over here. It's going to get bad over there, which some other countries are already going through it as well. Because really, all of these countries are broke. They all owe each other money. They all have a trade deficit. They all have a national debt. Suffering caused by lack of money. So there's a lack of money on all levels, starting with your presidents and governors. But even down to the regular people, there's a lack of money, especially here in America. Everybody getting fired, and then you got inflation. But now you got these tariffs. Wait till them take place and them start to take effect. It's gonna be even less money. So suffering caused by lack of money. That's the distress of nations. That's what the nations are in the uproar about right now. A lack of money. Or people who got money, things just cost more. So it's the same effect. It's like having a lack of money. It says state of physical strain, exhaustion. Yeah, because people working 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week. People talk about they got 2, 3 jobs, still can't make ends meet. The people exhausted. Breathing difficulty. So we know allergies, sinus problems. That's been bad this year because of the chemtrails and whatever they're doing out there in the world. But this will describe distress of nations. Now, the distress of nations, it goes way beyond this, but it's just funny that some of these examples popped up, like lack of money. And we know a lack of money is really a misery for the American people who are accustomed to having a bunch of it. Now they have less of it. So again, signs in the sun, moon, and stars, and upon the earth, distress of nations. The nations will be stressed out because of a lack of money and physical strain or exhaustion. They're going through it. Now, some similar words for distress: pain, suffering, affliction, torture, heartache, heartbreak, anxiety, worry, uneasiness, difficulty. But we're going to get this word anguish. It says severe mental or physical pain or suffering. And it's more so a mental thing here in America. The physical part ain't came yet. The physical part will be the sword, the famine, the pestilence. But we're going to continue to the book of Isaiah, chapter 19, verse 15. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Right, with these tariffs, for example, if you got a retail store, they may stop carrying certain products. They may stop carrying certain appliances, certain electronics, certain household items, certain hygiene, certain medicines because of the tariffs. They just can't afford it. Somebody got to pay for it. Hey, so certain stores, they may have entire shelves that go empty. They got a smaller inventory. Certain restaurants, they may not have certain foods that they used to have because of the tariffs. So with a smaller inventory, there's going to be less work, and that's going to be on all levels. That's why it says which the head or tail may do. It's going to be no work. And that's on all levels. Everybody about to be affected. And then when we come here to the book of Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. And what would the keepers of the house be? Just pretty much the people that oversee the well-being of America. People who watch the economy, people who watch the stock market, people who watch domestic and international affairs. They beginning to tremble. They beginning to see, we at a point of no return. And not only that, not even the keepers of the house, but the average people, your average folks, they're beginning to tremble too. They seeing what's starting to take shape. And what they see starting to take shape? Complete collapse of the American economy. Pretty much the downfall of America. And the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. Look at this word grinders, it says employment. Some people may say, I'm grinding, I'm on a grind right now. Well, employment is going to be, it's going to cease because it's going to be few. All these people getting laid off because of Doge. You got AI that's going to replace a lot of people in these jobs. And then you got the tariffs. A lot of jobs and corporations not going to be able to afford to stay open, or they're going to be functioning on a much smaller scale. Those that look out of the windows be darkened. Now this don't mean you physically look out a window and it looks dark, but pretty much goes into looking into America's future. It's going to look grim. America's future is not looking good right now, which we've been knew that America's future has nothing good in store. But the average folk, they starting to see it now. And the doors shall be shut in the streets. Why the doors gonna be shut? Because the grinders are gonna cease. It ain't gonna be no work for Egypt. Everybody getting laid off. Everybody getting fired. Companies can't afford to stay open because of the tariffs. The doors should be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. See that? The employment is going to be low. So unemployment about to continue to increase. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And we see all these rappers getting killed. Daughters of music being brought low. If they're not being killed, they're being exposed. From the Diddy's to the R. Kelly's. They was on Jay-Z for a minute. And now we're going to go to the book of 2nd Ezra. Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Matter of fact, there's a video. Let me see. Dang. Actually, no. So, yeah, stores are going to go empty. Less goods coming in, less foods coming in because of the tariffs. And then people panic buying. It's a lot of that going on. People been panic buying because of the tariffs, trying to get certain things. And then Trump going to put tariffs, tax on medicines. So people going to be panic buying on the medicines. And that's an American problem. Because, see, America gets everything imported. The video that I'm thinking of is for a future lesson, but China said they don't have that problem. China said they don't have to panic buy because they make everything there, unlike America. So that's going to be part of the reason the storehouses be found empty. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall suddenly be afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. So when you look at this, the people are standing together right now. But what the scriptures say, friends shall fight one against another like enemies. So that's what's coming next. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. So no water, no electricity. Everything's going to be at a standstill. Also, it said the storehouse is going to be found empty, so that's a famine. The famine is going to cause people to fight like enemies. Because right now, even though America is super divided, the people are still able to unify and come together for a common cause. Either it's protesting against Elon and Trump, or protesting against whatever policies, are being put in place, people are still able to come together. And that's because, after this, the people can leave together and go get some food. They might have had some food before they started protesting. They can go home and sleep in their bed. They can go home and take a shower. But when they can't take a shower after protesting, when they can't eat before or after, when they don't have a weekend to look forward to because they unemployed, there's going to be no more unity. That's why it says friends shall fight like enemies. And that's going to bring us to 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. See, it don't stop here. People wondering, when is it going to stop? When are things are going to start getting better? Or what's after this? Scriptures say, woe to the world. Destruction is after this. For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh. The sword going to happen first. That's friends fighting like enemies. And then it's not going to stop there. It's going to be topped off with the nuclear destruction of America. For the sword and the destruction draw nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. What's the modern day sword? The firepower. And we know America got more guns than people. So that's going to be the point when friends fight like enemies. So all of this protesting that you see and people coming together, imagine all of these people turn on each other. Imagine all of these people start shooting at each other, chasing each other, running each other over, setting each other on fire. That's what's coming next. Because what's keeping these people together, it would be the little bit of money we do got in the food, in the water that we able to get. Take away the money, take away the food, people gonna turn to animals. There should be sedition among men. And what's a sedition? An uprising against the government. That's why when we got 2 Ezra 9:3 in the GNT, it said there would be earthquakes, national rebellions. This is a national rebellion. That's sedition among men. See, what's going to happen to this, they're going to start actually trying to kill your world leaders. I better not say no name behind it, but that's why it says there should be sedition among men and invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor princes. So they're not going to care if Trump is the president and Elon Musk is one of his advisors. It's going to be more assassination attempts. It says, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power. That's that firepower. Those with that firepower going to be getting active. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, and houses shall be destroyed, men shall be afraid. So these protests going to turn into riots, and then the riots going to turn to a civil war. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and great tribulation. Why is it going to be a lack of bread, a lack of food and water? Because of the tariffs, the blackout, panic buying. But that's what follows. That's what follows. And what we see, pretty much this stuff is going to continue. It's just going to eventually turn violent. And then from that point, it's not going to stop. But, yep, you got the nations in the uproar. You got the trade wars. All the nations slapping tariffs and tax on one another. Stock market crashing. Earthquakes, tornadoes. And while you got the distress of nations among the regular people, you got the world leaders going at it. America, Iran, Russia, Yemen, but that's another lesson. Because World War III, it's taking shape as all of this stuff happens. But that's it for this lesson here. Till next time. Shalom.